Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's iOS update. This time out, a virtual version of a famous Roland sound module. Let's get started. Today we're checking out the SoundCanvas app from Roland, a virtual version of the original SoundCanvas hardware. Now there actually are 1,600 sounds in this, 63 drum sets, 64 insertion effects, lots and lots of capability here. You can run 16 parts at once, you have 64-note polyphony, so it has all the power of a top-of-the-line SoundCanvas right inside your iOS device. Back in the day, the Roland SoundCanvas was one of the most popular modules for creating multi-timbral parts. When it came out, it basically introduced the general MIDI standard. 16-part multi-timbral, lots of notes of polyphony, onboard effects. It was a standardized device that allowed you to plug in any standard MIDI file and play back your songs. SoundCanvases were affordable, they were small, plugged into your computer. You could take them anywhere and basically be making music on the go or in your studio if you wanted to use it as a quick, easy access sound module. And now we've got a virtual version of this that runs inside our iOS devices, either iPad or iPhone. You can use the SoundCanvas app in several different ways. First of all, it has a built-in standard MIDI file player. You can open a file up, it'll automatically call up the particular sound that you're playing, and you can hear that play back. You can loop a section of that, you can create a playlist of songs here, you can isolate just a small section of it that you want to listen to. There actually is a way that you can isolate different parts, so if you want to take a guitar part out and play along with that, do like a music play-along type of a thing, you can do that inside the SoundCanvas as well. When you're using the SoundCanvas app as a standard MIDI file player, you have your choice of two different skins. This is a standard SoundCanvas where it gives you access to the 16 different parts and all the parameters, and we'll come back to that in just a second. But if you swipe across the screen with two fingers, it'll open up a player view. Now this is designed for basically playing back your songs, but you do still have access to some of the playback parameters. So if we start playback here, it'll load up the correct song, start playing. We still have control over tempo here. We have control over the key, so we can transpose that. We can locate within the song by opening up and moving to exactly where we want to be. So you still can manipulate playback here. We have a volume control, you can still do your song list. And this is where you can actually do that -1 that I was talking about earlier, where you can take out one of the tracks, take out the drum tracks and play along with this, for example. Moving back to the standard view, down here we have access to the 16 different parts. We can scroll through those. We can solo a part, we can mute a part, we can call up a different part. And again, as I mentioned, there actually are 1,600 different sounds here. We have several different maps. The SC8820, the SC88 Pro, the original SoundCanvas 55, a general MIDI map, and so on. And it's broken down into different categories, and you simply click on the one that you want to choose it. You can preview here, and then you can go back, and it'll be automatically be loaded into the part that you've selected. At the top of the screen, we have a display that shows us everything that's happening with a part. So we can, again, call up our preset here. You can step through the different parts using the arrow keys. We have a readout for our level, for our pan, reverb setting, chorus. All of those parameters can be accessed here in this display. The display can also be switched to show the master parameters. So if we open this up, we're looking at our overall volume level, overall reverb setting, and so on. Top right of the screen is where we have our playback controls. We can turn metronome on and off. We can set the count in on and off. You can loop a section, open up your files, set up your song list. So that's all displayed here. And even though it's a small little display, you still can access things like the tempo here inside this display, the key, if you want to look at that, and so on. To dig a little bit deeper, we hit the menu button. And this is where we can set up the different parameters within the SoundCanvas. You can set up whether it's going to auto-sleep, for background playback, for AirPlay or Bluetooth control, core MIDI setup. Our part setup is where we can go in and assign different things here, work with different parameters for the reverb, for example. We can open all those up and fine-tune what's happening inside the SoundCanvas for all of your playback settings. You also have access to parameters for a part using the level control here. If you click on this, it'll open up a menu that, for example, can show you all the reverb parameters. Now as you move this, you're changing the settings for the reverb. If we move this, we're changing our settings for the chorus. So you can easily access the main parameters right here from the front panel as well. As I mentioned earlier, there are several different ways you can use the SoundCanvas app. First is as a standard MIDI file, as we were looking at earlier. But you also can connect an instrument via MIDI to your iPad or your iPhone. In this case, I've got a camera connection kit, and I've got an M-Audio KeyStation Mini 32 connected by USB. So when I play this, I can play the sounds right inside the SoundCanvas as a live sound module. You can also use external MIDI to sequence all 16 parts from an external computer or another iPad or iPhone. And finally, you could use another app running inside your iPad to control those 16 parts. So you could use GarageBand, anything that's core MIDI compatible. It's also audio bus compatible. So anything that can sequence MIDI can drive the SoundCanvas app. If you're looking for a sound module that can deliver up to 16-part multi-timbral operation with up to 64 notes of polyphony, plenty of parts and plenty of polyphony for sketching out a song or even creating final arrangements, the SoundCanvas is fast, it's easy to use, has great sounds on board, costs about $20, so it's not too expensive, and it basically turns your iPad into a vintage virtual SoundCanvas. I hope you've enjoyed this installment of Sweetwater's iOS update. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more apps, more hardware accessories, and more tech tips on making music with your iOS devices. I'm Mitch Gallagher.